Hi, folks. I'm Professor Hennessy. I want to welcome you to our online summer ENC1101 course. So what I'd like to do today is just spend a little bit of time going through the course with you, explaining how the course works and going through the syllabus a bit. So let me pull up the syllabus. So as you'll see when you go into the course website itself, you'll see the Welcome and Syllabus folder. When you click on the syllabus and schedule, you'll see the syllabus that we'll be following this semester. So this is where you should be looking every week to make sure that you're truly on track with doing all of the assignments. This is the go-to spot within the course. So firstly, this is a 6-week summer course. This is a compacted semester. We want to make sure that honestly you signed up for the class you intended to sign up for. This course, ENC1101, deals with the writing of college-level essays. Taking this kind of course in a 6-week summer semester means that the schedule is going to be compacted. It means that we are doing all of the assignments that you would do in a regular 14 or 16-week semester, but we're compacting it within inside of 6 weeks. So honestly, you want to make sure that if you signed up for this class in the summer, you want to make sure you signed up for it because you feel like you have the time to devote to this course to make sure that you're successful. And secondly, you feel like, honestly, you're a pretty strong writer. If you don't feel like you're a strong writer, then taking this course in a 6-week summer session might be counterproductive. It might honestly be a negative. Every once in a while, I have students that say, oh, I decided to take it during the summer because I thought it'd be easier. That's of course the opposite of what would occur because the schedule is compacted, so we have to move more quickly through each step in the writing process. So we want to make sure that you intentionally signed up for this course as a summer semester that is a 6-week summer course. If you look at the schedule today and you realize all of this is way too compacted, I won't be able to really effectively do all of this amount of work in 1 week every week, then it might be better to sign up for the course in the fall when you can take it in a normal 16-week semester. But that's something, honestly, it's worth evaluating in the first day or two while you can simply drop and add a course and figure that out in terms of your own life. Realistically, in a college course, you're supposed to spend at least 48 hours in the classroom itself during the semester. In a 6-week summer session, that means about 8 hours a week. And realistically, you have at least 8 hours a week of work within this course. These are lessons that you'll be reading and learning activities that you'll be engaging in. So doing discussion board posts, writing essays. The essays, of course, are the primary focus of this course. So generally, you should expect that it's going to require at least 8 hours or so a week over this 6-week summer session to be able to successfully complete the course learning effectively. What I want to do now is just go through the syllabus with you a bit and just point out some of the highlights. I'm not going to read through the whole syllabus. You can do that in the next day or so, but I want to just point out some key highlights. There's no textbook that you need to purchase for the class. All of our lessons and readings are built into the course itself. You simply click on the links within the course itself. Let's look at the schedule and I'll kind of explain things from there. So you'll see within the schedule, all of the things that you'll be seeing, all of what you'll be doing kind of we broke the course into units. So in week 1, we'll be doing the orientation unit, the unit 1 on foundations of composition, and unit 2 on the narrative essay. So all of this stuff that I'm scrolling through right now is what we're going to be doing in week 1 of the course. The way you'll see that the course is built, we have all of these things that you'll be reading each week. So initially it's just, the syllabus. Then there's a number of grammar lessons that you'll be going through to refresh yourself on grammar. Then lessons on academic honesty and plagiarism. Then lessons on the narrative essay. And they kind of go through page by page what you need to know about the narrative essay. As part of this, you'll be doing some discussion posts. So you'll see within each unit, there's a reading response. You'll be reading something about a narrative essay, and then you'll be responding to it based on some questions within the discussion board. You'll then see, as we move forward, that you start writing your own narrative essay. And that starts with a rough draft, a first draft of the essay that you've posted within the discussion board. And you'll get feedback from your peers. You're going to have to respond to one of your peers' essay, and they'll be responding to yours. And you'll get feedback from your professor as well. Then you'll use that feedback to, over the next few days, to finalize the final draft of that essay. So that's the structure that you'll see as you move through the course, that we work on some kind of pre-writing steps, then there's a rough draft, then there's the final draft itself. Now, this course is focused on these main essays that you're developing. The first one is the narrative essay. The second one is an evaluation essay, and the third one is a problem solution essay. Those three essays make up the vast majority of your course grade, because writing essays is the point of this course. So you'll see that we have smaller, assignments along the way. Those are important, you need to do them, but you need to make sure you're always focused on the big goal of each unit. The big goal of each unit is heading towards that major essay that you'll be writing, because those essays in themselves make up the vast majority of the course grade. I'm going to scroll through here and point to the breakdown of the course grade itself. The narrative essay, the evaluation essay, and the problem solution essay, all together, these add up to 65% of the course grade. They are by far the vast majority of the course grade. They are the point of the course grade. So you want to make sure you're giving those the time that are needed. That's why we have the writing steps that we're working through in each unit to help get you there. Now, let me scroll back up. You'll see that throughout the course, I'm going to be posting announcements of reminders of things that you need to be doing during that week. But you always need to make sure that you're looking at the syllabus itself and that you're truly scrolling through this schedule. And you'll see, like in week 1, we have a lot of things that we're doing. Because again, this is a 6-week summer course, things move quickly. So it's compacted, there is a lot of reading. So it's really important, honestly, that you make sure that you truly do read all of the things that you're supposed to read in each unit. Every once in a while, I see a student who just tries to jump right ahead to the assignments that they have to do. And they do really, really poorly because they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't learned what they needed to learn to get to the point of being successful on that particular essay. So please don't make that mistake. Learn from the material that's within the course itself. Use the feedback that you get from me, your professor, and your classmates through the peer review process to make sure you're really developing an effective essay. To be quite honest, if you do not use the feedback that I provide to you on the peer review, you should assume that you will get a failing grade on the final draft itself. Every once in a while, I see students who completely ignore the feedback that I've provided on their rough draft. That ensures that they're going to fail. Okay, I know that's kind of blunt to say, but I'm trying to say it so that people avoid that mistake. You have to be, you're going to get feedback pretty quickly. Like you're going to, for example, you'll see with the narrative essay, you'll be posting your first draft of the essay on Monday the 23rd, by Monday the 23rd at the latest. And the next day, you'll have feedback, within the next day or two, you'll have feedback from me, your professor, and from one of your classmates. And you're going to look at both sets of feedback. And they're going to be very important in terms of understanding how effective you are. To be very blunt about it, your professor is the one you should pay the most attention to. Because if I'm telling you something, I'm saying this because I need to make sure that you improve on that particular issue so that you are successful on the final draft. And then you have a few days to work through those revisions before the actual final draft is due. So for example, you'll see the rough draft is due on Monday of that week. Then you get some feedback from your peers and your professor within the next day or two. And then the Friday of that week is when the final draft of the essay itself is due. So you have to make sure to be successful in this class, you do have to be working during the week. You have to be working, honestly, logging into the course every day and doing some of the things that you need to do every day. Some students make the mistake of thinking, okay, I can just like devote one day a week where I spend a few hours trying to get everything done. That won't work in a course like this. There are steps along the way in the writing process that you're going to need to accomplish to be able to like use those steps to be able to get to the next step. So you have to regularly be logging into class and regularly participating in the coursework. Okay, so you'll see within the syllabus itself, in the right-hand side of the syllabus, on the left-hand side, we have kind of the learning outcomes. This is just reminding you why we're doing this stuff. But on the right-hand side, you'll see the actual things you have to do, the activities. And these are the readings. These are the different types of assignments, the discussion post. There are some small quizzes that take place during the course. You'll see all of that stuff listed there in the right side of the syllabus. And they're linked. So you can simply just click on this and it'll open up that document for you. If that's an easy way for you to go through the course and make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to do, great. You can also access all of that same content through the content section of the course. Simply click on the content menu or go to the content browser and go through everything within that unit. Okay, so that explains like how to actually navigate the course itself. Some other things that I wanted to spend some time going through. It's really important that you have to submit things by their deadlines. If you don't submit them by their deadlines, you get a 0 on that. So you've got to make sure that you actually, the discussion posts, the quizzes, those close. Like you won't be able to access them once the deadline passes. So you'll see like the deadline is 11:30 p.m. At 11:31, you won't be able to get into that discussion post or that particular quiz. And it just becomes a 0 within the gradebook. So plan accordingly. Like don't wait till the very last minute, because if your internet does die in the last 4 or 5 minutes before a deadline, you don't want that to be the reason that you got a 0. So try not to procrastinate. Don't wait till the last minute to get things done. With the essays themselves, honestly, if you're late on those, I will still accept it within 3 days, but every day that it's late takes off 10% of the course grade, of that paper grade. So, and after 3 days, I won't accept it at all. But to be blunt with you, if you are consistently turning those essays in late, you won't pass the class because you'll get behind on the next thing. And obviously those lateness penalties will have severely hurt your overall grade. To pass this course, you have to get a 70 or above. To pass the ENC1101, you have to get a C or above, and then that means a 70 or above. So you'll want to keep an eye on the grades section of the course because that's what you'll see what your current average is. Now, honestly, in the first week or so of the class, your average is going to hopefully look really good because you're going to be doing the easier assignments, which are the initial discussion posts, the initial quizzes. It's only when we get to the actual essays, the final drafts of those and the grades are put in for those, that's when you'll start to see what your average is really going to be looking like, because those essays make up an enormous portion of your course grade. Okay. One other thing that I want to point out, because it is a significant issue, there are students that do try to cheat through classes like this. And there are 2 main ways that they try to cheat. The first and most obvious one is plagiarism. They will go to various websites and copy and paste stuff, and they'll try to change a few words here and there, and is still clearly plagiarism. Plagiarism means using somebody else's words or ideas without giving specific proper credits. That means putting their words inside of quotation marks and putting citations at the end of each sentence where you've credited a source. In this course, you're not going to be using any research sources whatsoever until we get to the 3rd paper. And at that time, when we get to that 3rd paper, you're going to have lessons that teach you how to properly credit your sources. So when you hear the teacher talking about plagiarism and saying that's a big way that people fail the course, don't freak out. You're not going to mistakenly or accidentally plagiarize. It's not an accidental thing. So you don't need to be scared by it. In the first 2/3 of the course, every single word that you write is going to be entirely your own. You are not using any sources whatsoever. So please don't make the mistake of trying to use sources. Don't go to websites. There are various study sites. Really, these are just cheating sites that exist out there. And people try to sometimes take things from those sites and put them in a course that they're taking in college. Well, that stuff is obviously easy to track as plagiarized. Everything that you submit within this course is automatically tracked to see if there's any kind of plagiarism within it. One of my jobs at Broward College is actually to be the trainer for other faculty on how to identify and deter plagiarism. I'm the one who teaches them about Turnitin. I'm the one who teaches them about the other ways of finding student plagiarism. I'm literally the plagiarism guru for Broward College. So it would not be a good idea for anybody to plagiarize in my class. I hate to put the focus on such a negative thing, when I'm first welcoming you to the course, but I've been teaching at Broward College since 2001. And unfortunately, I have seen students every semester who make this mistake, even when I do point it out ahead of time. I don't want to see students do that. If a student did plagiarize, that would result in failure of the course right away. Because it means that they obviously aren't interested in taking this college class at that point. That's just cheating is cheating. I don't want to see students make that mistake. So if you know of people around you who seem to try that approach to their college classes, don't be influenced by them, okay? Don't let that affect your success in college. You are capable of doing the work within this class. Now, the decision of whether to take it during a 6-week summer session or during a normal kind of 16-week summer session, that's an issue to consider, honestly. But if you got this far, you are capable of doing the work within this course. This is not an insanely difficult course. You just have to give it the time and effort and truly go through everything within the course. The students that truly do all the reading, do all of the assignments along the way, pay attention to the feedback that they're given, they pass. They end up doing well. The students that tend to fail this class are the ones that try to cheat their way through, or the ones that really just don't read most of the lessons and they just try to jump ahead to doing an assignment and turning it in. Those are the ones who ends up getting themselves in trouble. So just from my experience as a teacher, I'm trying to show you the path towards being successful. When we get to the third paper in the class, you will be using research sources, but at that point, I'm going to teach you how to credit them properly, how to make sure that you're quoting people when you actually are using their words, you put them inside of quotation marks, and when you're paraphrasing, how to paraphrase properly and how to credit paraphrasing. Truthfully, most students don't know how to do that before they come into college. So you will learn how to do that within this class, but you only have to worry about that when we get to the third paper. If you have questions about any of that type of thing as you're going through the course, always feel free to send me an email. I'd much rather just talk to you and help clarify any concerns that you have than see a big mistake be made when you have an assignment that has severe problems with it. As always, throughout the course, anytime you have questions, just send me an email. You'll see that I've sent out a welcome email to everybody in the class. The easiest way to email me is to simply hit reply to that email. It'll just send the email directly to me, and I'll give you a quick response. I log into the course multiple times per day, even on the weekends, so you will always get a relatively quick response with me, certainly within 24 hours. So you can expect that you'll get, a quick response and that your teacher is truly present within the course. If you've had experiences in the past where you've taken online classes where the teacher is very distant and you don't really seem to have much communication at all with the teacher, that won't be what you experience here. Instead, you'll see within this class that I really am trying to help you be successful. I'm going to be present in a lot of ways within the course, including with the feedback that I give. So make sure that when I give you that feedback, for example, that you read it right away and that you utilize it to make sure that you're successful. Okay, a few more other things I guess I want to go through while I'm showing you how the course works. So let's say, for example, you're going to see there's a number of different discussion posts that you have that you'll be doing during the class. And the instructions on the discussion posts, let me pull one up so you can see. Okay, it always looks a little bit different from my perspective than it does from yours. But for example, you'll see with the narrative essay reading response, this is one of the early discussion posts that you'll be doing. It asks you to read a sample narrative essay, and you click on that to actually read the essay. And then it asks you to engage in a response to that essay. You'll see within all of the discussion posts, you're going to do your own initial response to the question. Your initial response to the question needs to be well written. This is an English class. You are being graded on your writing. It needs to actually address the things that you were asked to do within that particular discussion post. It needs to be a minimum of 100 words, but don't just think about the 100 words minimum and say, okay, I got the 100 words, I'm done. You want to make sure you truly answer the question in a substantive, thoughtful, useful way. So these are opportunities for you to engage in thoughtful analysis of something that's being shown to you. So that will be your initial post. You'll then want to read through what your classmates have posted. Once you've read a number of their posts, you want to respond to at least one of them and give them some specific suggestions on things they can think about. So other things they might consider in their evaluation of that particular thing. You want to give them substantive reply, not just, hey, good job, I agree with you. So you want to really read what they've written, talk about what you think they're on the right track with, what you agree with, for example. And if there's other ideas that you have or additional suggestions that you can make, other things they could think about that might fit with that particular point that they've made, this is the opportunity to bring that up. So within the discussion board, you'll always be doing your own post and you'll be replying to at least one of your classmates. You'll see that's just part of how the discussion board works. And of course, when we're talking about the discussion board, it's not just did you post something, it's did you really address the question? Did you truly answer it, everything that was being asked of you? Did you write a substantive response? Is it at least 100 words? Does it fully address all of the issues? And is it well written? Those are the things that you'll be graded on. In addition to, did you have a reply to one of your classmates? Is that substantive and is it well written? So those discussion post elements of the course, you know, honestly, hopefully they should be some of the easier parts of the course. We want to make sure that those are things that help raise your grade. So take those seriously, give them the time and effort necessary so that you do them effectively and you get good grades on them. Okay, I think that's everything that I needed to show you through the course. You'll see throughout the semester, I'll be posting a lot of announcements with key reminders. So you always want to make sure you look at those announcements when they pop up within the course. They'll be over here on the left-hand side of the course. Those are crucial. Look at those announcements. In some of those announcements, you'll see I'll have a video like this one where I'm giving you some direction or suggestions or things to think about as you're proceeding with the work for that particular week. Always make sure that you watch those videos. This is your teacher talking to you, trying to keep you on the right track at those particular times. So definitely pay attention to that stuff. I'm able to see, like, I'm kind of able to track who clicks on what things. I don't really always look at that tracking that deeply, but sometimes when I see somebody struggling in the class, I look to see how much of the course contents are they really accessing? Are they even reading the lessons? I'm able to see that. How long are they spending on those lessons? Are they clicking on the videos that I linked in there? I'm able to see that type of stuff from the instructor perspective. And it's useful to me sometimes because it helps me better understand why some students might be struggling. It's often that they're not really giving the course material the time and attention that they need. So you want to make sure to be successful that you do that. If I'm posting an announcement for you, it's because there's specific recommendations I want to make for you, specific things I'm trying to remind you about. So you obviously want to pay attention to those. Okay, as always, if you have questions as you're moving through the course, even if you just have initial questions when you first start looking at the syllabus today, send me an email. I'm happy to reply. Okay. I look forward to getting to know you all during the semester, and I look forward to helping you be successful. Take care, everybody.